I forgot. Let's just go right into it. Hi, everybody. We're back. This is us being back.
Oh, welcome back.
Yep. We're back for real this time. Like, literally, I already have the videos uploaded and scheduled.
How many episodes did Shadow of the Colossus come out?
15, which sucks because there's 16 Colossi, but because we had corrupted footage for just one it actually wasn't even the whole thing. All the Colossi are in it. The footage we had that got messed up was the journey to one of them. And so it was too short on its own because it was just like the last half of the boss fight. And then it goes into the next one.
I didn't even know about that, but honestly, like the journeys to the bosses, it was more just like us bantering.
Well, there is there's an episode called Death and Waterfalls that it's like maybe
full
episode
disclosure,
10 or
folks.
11.
We recorded these months ago, so I have no recollection.
Do you know when we recorded? We started recording Shadows of the Colossus?
Beginning of last year.
December 2021.
Really?
Yes. It was like mid-December sometime.
That's when we started.
That's when we started.
Okay, so I wasn't too far off. Beginning of last year.
In January. And we were like, hey, maybe we'll get back to recording. But I didn't want to start putting them up and doing them until I knew for sure we were going to record more. And we just didn't record more because we were very busy all year.
Yeah.
Then this late in 2022, we started recording more often here or there. So, yeah, now things are finally going to start going back up. But I felt the need that we needed to put up a video to mention if we seem like we're talking about things and you're like, that was a long time ago.
It was.
That's why.
Yeah.
So, we're starting with Shadow of the Colossus. 15 episodes. I got them every day. After that, the stuff we've recorded will probably start putting up like maybe 3 or 4 a week, something like that.
That's not bad.
But yeah.
And now we're in a position where we can kind of record once a week, roughly. Like usually we get like once a week done because now we're not living together anymore. I live down south, but our distance to travel is not as far as when you were living up north. So it's not as unreasonable for us to record.
Yeah. And then also on a day like today, you work very close to where I live, so it's on your way anyway. So it works out pretty well. I meant to be prepared. Hang on. Where is my phone? It's in my pocket.
Well, you've got notes?
Well, not really notes, but I was going to pull up the comments section because I wanted to look kind of at this past year of comments. Not that there's a whole lot, but have been some very nice ones.
And some very mean ones.
Actually, there might be. To be fair, I don't think I've looked at all. Do we get
mean comments?
I don't know.
I want to read them.
I mean, hang on.
I love a good mean comment.
I do like that our most recent one is from Harvester Part 13.
Is it weird that one of the things I miss about streaming is trolls?
Well, you handled them well.
But I miss like the dance. Yeah. I miss that because like I did have a way of dealing with people that wasn't like an aggressive way of dealing with people. Yeah. I was never like the get out of here guy. I welcomed them and was just like, and I would, my big thing, and most of the people watching were thank you.
Christine just came in and didn't say a word.
And just
again.
And
hi.
Hi. I used to love turning a troll into a viewer. And I would usually do that by being ridiculous myself, and you'd see the trolls just go like, you know what, I tried and you got me. All right, all right.
But it's funny because you always had a good way about that because of your general personality, but also you had a very loyal fan base that would go with you on
exactly. That was one of the best things was like absolutely the people that watched me were kind of like in it with me, and the people watching never got aggressive towards the trolls, right? Because they knew that I wasn't going to get aggressive towards the trolls. Yeah. So everybody just kind of had fun with it, and then we'd be like, "Oh well, sit down and enjoy," and they would just kind of chill with us.
One of the few times I tried that was I think Narwhal was streaming, and I'm sure if he watches this, he can reiterate that this happened. That somebody came in and was just trying to troll him, and that was my initial way of dealing. Yeah. Didn't work though.
It's obviously
did not work.
It's not always going to work,
but that guy actually only continued to get worse and sort of.
Oh yeah, no,
it was like, oh, this is bad.
If you went back and looked at some of my streams, there were definitely some that we were just like, you know, you're not even fun, so we're just going to ban you. But if a troll kind of, my favorite is like if the trolls kind of went with it, they'd come in and say something shocking.
Yeah.
And then I'd say something.
Well, shocking ain't going to work.
Exactly. So they'd say something like shocking or crazy. And then I would try to like counter it by saying something even worse.
Yeah.
And to the point of like, you would sometimes see there's even the troll would be like, Jesus, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, welcome to the club.
Yeah. Let's see. So, this was a good one. For which another game we got to get back to, not for broadcast because it was actually finished.
God, man, that was so good.
So this is from
Wait, it's done. They finished the last
1.0 came out like a long time ago now.
And what was it? There was like one chapter left that we had or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I think so.
So yeah, we could get back to that at some point.
God, that game was fantastic.
I watched this. I like this part a lot. This comment a lot from Gabe Bagans, Bagans, Baggins. There you go. Baggins. I know I am a year late to this video, but that whole moment of watching Emmanuel in space, which was when I randomly remembered the theme song to Emmanuel in space, and so we pulled it up and actually played it like in a little window. Emmanuel.
I remember watching that on Showtime at like fucking 3 in the morning at my grandmother's house.
Emmanuel. It was so good. It was so stupidly funny. I am sad to see that it seems like these guys don't post anymore, but I am enjoying watching the backlog of them playing all these games.
That was a lot.
And then I responded to him like, hey, you're in luck, because this was 4 days ago, and I responded like,
sweet.
I'm like, you're in luck, because we're actually just about to get back to it, so.
Well, thanks, Gabe, and looking forward to having you hang around.
Hope you subscribed. Hopefully you'll comment on this.
Tell some friends. I don't know.
Yeah, do that. We got, let's see, incredible episode ending 10 out of 10, no notes for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order Part 10. I don't know what that one is. Wait.
What was it? Repeat it again.
Incredible episode ending 10 out of 10, no notes. Hang on. I'm pulling this up.
Was that the one where we ended Jedi Fallen Order? We're like, we're not playing this anymore. Which I feel like you went back and played, right?
I played because I'm like, let's see. Turns out we were really close to the end.
I have to play it because the new one is coming out. And now, actually, my biggest reason for playing it is because now there's rumors that Cal Kestis may pop into the live action stuff. And I'm like, I need context. So now I'm sucked into having to play it because I'm a Star Wars whore.
Let's see. I'm getting to the end here.
Came all the way down here to do this?
I don't remember the context here, but okay.
Oh. Thanks for watching today, everybody. We're down in this hole with this big thing in the middle of the room. How are you gonna get out? I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. Probably gonna force push your way out. Just a thought. Just keep force pushing the ground. Push yourself up. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye. What the hell?
Oh, right. I forgot. A boss or something just suddenly comes up. I forgot. Oh, my God.
That just sounded like such a calm ending. Just us doing our, like, well, and then hearing just guttural screams.
Oh, my. And and in the background, you just see whoosh, like big lightning suddenly hit. Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, man. What do we got here? From our last podcast a month ago, the one pickle left wrote, Jesus loves you and died for your sins. Repent, God bless. I'm not forcing. Well, thanks for not forcing it.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're not really pushing on everybody else, feel free to say what you want.
This is a nice one from a month ago. I had not seen this. P&O Edgar was watching Dust, Tale of the Wired West.
Oh, yeah.
And wrote, I absolutely love Dust videos because you both make me laugh so much.
Aw.
That was very nice. Hopefully he's still sticking around.
Who was that? PW?
P&O.
Oh, P&O. Thanks, P&O.
And then we had this Ryoma Hoffman on the end of Franbo, and then she does bring up a game that we got to play. Hello, I know this is an old series, but did you guys ever end up playing Little Misfortune? And if so, where can I watch it? I very much enjoyed this playthrough, and I would love to see more. So that's one we should definitely get on, because
I don't think
their other game, which is much shorter apparently, so it wouldn't be like as
was that
crazy long.
Before or after Franbo?
After. Yeah, they had a new game.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was not like I think it was a smaller game.
I mean, I'll still play it. Franbo's still to this day probably one of my favorite games of the past decade.
I think it was my favorite serious point and click.
Yeah.
There's some comedy ones that maybe would put like one or two ahead of it.
I have to, you have to play Dropsy.
Oh yeah, Dropsy.
Dropsy, you know what? Like there's not from what I remember, there's not a lot of like text or anything. But the actual like the experience of going through it is a hell of a lot of fun. And the game, like the art and everything in it is just, it's all pixel art, but it's such a good game.
Here, real quick. This is one I remember from 3 months ago from a Queen Bee. I came across your channel because Game Grumps started this game, Harvester.
Oh, yeah.
And since they have a way of not finishing what they start, I wanted to see a full playthrough and chose yours at random. Best decision I've made in a long while. How have I never heard of you guys? You're great. I've already subbed and I can't wait to binge your videos.
Because we're nobodies!
I hope you're still around, Queen Bee, because we're almost back.
We're going to have to go through and comment on all these just to let them know, like, hey, just so you know.
I did a couple because I'm like, please don't leave. Please don't be gone forever. I like that my two, if I could just, I hit a button to auto reply. Welcome aboard. If I hadn't already responded to her, I think on a different one, I just hit that for fun.
Welcome aboard to everybody.
Thanks for the tips. That would be a weird one. Although the Game Grumps are actually finally finishing it.
They are?
They got curious enough, and I think the original ones did well enough that they were like, all right, I guess we'll keep playing this game. And I think they said they recorded the rest of it, and starting this coming Sunday, they're going to be putting them up like 3 weeks in a row to finish it off.
I haven't watched them in so long. I've kind of taken a backseat to just all of the whole YouTube landscape, aside from like I'll watch Rhett and Link occasionally, but mostly I watch New Rockstars and Marvel breakdowns.
Well,
that's all I watch anymore.
Well, now we can talk some other stuff because that's all like those are the big comments I wanted to get to, just to thank the people who had nice things to say.
Yeah, thank you everybody.
But yeah, so last time we did one of these was April. Believe it or not.
I remember that.
When we did our, that was our 20th anniversary. Because it was April 1st. 2022. Which was 20, because we originally met on April 1st, 2002.
Yeah.
So since April, we can just do the little updates. Things have changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
When did you move out again? Was it August?
Something like that.
August, September?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So, and right now, where we're recording this is Chad's old room, which is now my new office.
Yeah.
Which is much better as an office than the other room.
Yeah.
Breathes
like it a little more. Better closet space.
Yeah. And you've got...
a home!
You've got a home.
I kidnapped a family and made them my own. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, we talked about that before. If this was April of last year, then I would have already been engaged.
You would? Okay. When did you get engaged again?
4321. Well, no, 4322. April 3rd, 2022.
Oh, that was actually 2 days after we recorded the last one.
So we would have mentioned it. We would have talked about me having been engaged.
Okay.
What's changed since then for me is I moved out of here. We bought a townhouse about 30 or 40 minutes south of where we're sitting right now. And I now live with my fiance and her children, my future stepchildren. And my car got totaled right around the corner from this house.
That's right.
I had to. Not only did I buy a house, I had to buy a car, and I can't afford any of it. So that's where I'm at. I think.
It's a nice townhouse, by the way. I remember when I walked into it, I was like, holy this thing goes back really far.
It's nice, but it's a townhouse. So it's like,
I grew up in a townhouse, so like I know
exactly
how they can be.
I just I've been in apartments before, but like the whole like close living quarters kind of thing where you're connected to somebody else. Not my favorite. Not that anything bad has happened, but I miss just not having a neighbor within earshot.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I do like about, because I did not.
Oh, you're like secluded.
Yeah. I love it back here.
Yeah.
We are very secluded. I'm on a dead end street and all my neighbors are old.
Yeah. Old, quiet,
and very
crazy.
Nice. Yeah. Well, one of them a little bit, but in a fun way.
She's
eccentric.
Yeah.
And the other one is great.
She rakes the streets.
She rakes the streets. Well, someone's got to take care of it.
But
it sounds nuts, but you know what? She was telling.
God bless her is what I say.
She was at. Yeah, you were with me when she was
last week when we went to get the garbage cans.
She gets. It's her exercise.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, good for
her. That's good though.
Yeah, it's really good. She keeps her. Can't say she doesn't stay active.
No, she's really really sweet.
Yeah.
And a little off her rocker.
Yeah.
But just enough to still just be like sweet and endearing.
Yeah, it's in fun ways.
Yeah.
She's very nice. Yeah, that's where we're all at in life.
Well, what happened with you guys? You moved into this room.
Well, because that really might be it. Because I mean, I'm sure I told the whole story of moving in here on the last one.
Oh yeah. I mean, like since then, what's changed? Nothing.
Nothing really.
Nothing's changed. You're still the same job. You changed rooms.
Yeah, basically.
And I think that was your guys' big change.
Yeah, I guess other than that, it's been a pretty normal last 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's all there really is to update. What some games we have coming up? I do know we've been playing a lot of Cuphead.
Yeah, we're back into Cuphead, and it hasn't broken us, but it's gotten pretty damn close.
There's a few other things that'll come before it, but that one will come probably in February sometime. Yeah, and we're only on normal.
Yeah.
Like once we beat it on normal, the DLC, we should say, because we've played the original game.
The delicious last course.
Yeah.
It's a delicious last course.
It's hard. It's really hard, and we're only on normal. It's hard. I cannot wait to play it on hard.
Like I would say when doing the original Cuphead, even on expert, like by myself, there were certain, maybe one or two bosses, however flustered I may have gotten, I always knew that I would beat them.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe one or two, like Blippy or not Blippy, Beppy the clown. Those were the ones where like I was just like, I don't think I could do this. And I did eventually, but this one has had a few moments where I'm like, this is a little much.
Yeah.
In fact, when you guys start seeing it, if you haven't played the game, they've got like 5 bosses or so and a couple like bonus round kind of things. And one in particular, which we haven't beaten yet, that's the one we're going to be playing the next time we play.
Oh yeah,
is the graveyard one, and my God, I don't even think we've given it a serious try. Every time we've gone into it, we've been like, well, let's take a look at it. Oh my God!
Well, because so much depends on where you're looking,
and having two people's
perspectives makes it so like I don't know how to tell. We'll have to figure it out. But that's what we're going to be recording after we finish recording this.
But yeah. Other than that, I mean, I'm not sure. I haven't been keeping up on what games are like out. I don't even, because I've been so busy with just life. So I haven't taken a look too much at like what's around now past like big releases.
Yeah.
I'd be more into getting into like.
I've been playing catch up.
Oh my God.
What?
You know what we should do to get back to form?
Oh no.
Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh, 7, right? Yeah, we'd be on 7. You know, I would be fine with that.
We need a Leisure Suit Larry in there in the mix coming up.
Okay.
And I wouldn't mind doing some more of the LucasArts stuff, or even some of the Sierra stuff again, because I miss the point and clicks.
We did Monkey Island 1, right? But we didn't do 2.
We did 1. We haven't done any other Monkey Island. Just the
2
1
would be a great one to go with.
I want to do the Monkey Islands. We did Grim Fandango. We did Full Throttle.
Maniac Mansion.
We did Maniac Mansion. We have to do Day of the Tentacle.
Yes. Day of the Tentacle is it's a big one. I had forgotten as I replayed it a few years ago. For I think when Christine played it, when they first put out the high def one. A lot longer of the game than I remembered. Longer than most of their games usually are. That would be a great one, though.
I would like you to sit down and do Siberia, the point and clicks.
Oh, the point and click for a second. Like Siberia 2?
Siberia 1 and 2, the story. Just the story alone is just, it's
for this sort of thing.
Fantastic.
Perfect. I would love to do that. Because I had played the original a little, but I never.
You watched me play it
when
we used to work at Lighting Expo. I had bought that new HP laptop, and it was like finally I had a laptop that I could play games on, and that was the game I was playing there. So you watched me play it some at Lighting Expo,
but I remember it was a game that every once in a while I'd try playing again, and I would always fall out for whatever reason.
Well, it's involved, like the storyline itself, like in the beginning. Gameplay mechanics wise, it's very, very basic. It's nothing too crazy. It's more to get you into like the meat of the story.
Yeah, I'd like to, just because I know that they made, obviously they made 2 sequels and a prequel, so we could get a lot out of.
Which I've only ever played 1 and 2. I never the third one came out like 6 or 7 years ago, or actually no, like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Came out like 4 or 5 years ago. I bought it, never got a chance to actually play it. Saw some like so reviews on it, so I never felt inclined to like, I gotta jump into it. So it's just been sitting on my hard drive.
I wonder how the prequel did in review. I think it came out last year. Yeah, it looked really good.
And then I think at some point I need to get into some of the older Sony titles too, because I haven't done any Uncharted.
I
never did God of War. There's so many Sony games because the last PlayStation I owned was PlayStation 2.
Yeah, and I guess they're probably all on the.
Most of them
I have PS Plus, so they're probably all in there.
I have PS Plus on my PS5, and I was looking through, and I did see like a bunch. Like they've got the full God of War collection. They've got all the Uncharted.
Uncharted would be a great time.
I think Uncharted is kind of one of as much as I would love to do God of War, I do love. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with like Norse mythology and Greek mythology and stuff. But Uncharted looks like a more fun time.
Uncharted, Uncharted's really good. Uncharted 2 is probably the most fun of them. I think Uncharted 3, I had my favorite story of them.
Oh, there's a game I want you to play.
Me, okay.
Which I totally forgot about.
Okay.
I can't remember if you ever played it. I know that at 20 years ago, I probably showed you the game.
Okay.
It was on PlayStation 2. Dark Cloud.
Oh, the one where
it's ActRaiser.
Oh, is it? Is that the one where the cover had a guy that looked basically like Link?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always see it everywhere.
So it's basically it's like ActRaiser mixed with a little bit of Zelda. The actual getting into it, honestly, you know what? In hindsight, it's not a great game. But
okay.
I remember playing it for the first time and going like, it's ActRaiser. Because it's a very similar setup. You're brought into a town, there's nothing there.
Right.
So what do you have to do? You got to build the town.
How
do you build the town? You got to go into the dungeon and find the pieces. So it's little bubbles with like, a bridge. Tom's house. And you have to keep going into the dungeon, complete a level, and there's tiers to the dungeon. And then you get these pieces and you have to flesh out the town, and then you move on to the next place. And each town has like something going on.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds exactly like it.
Very similar concept to ActRaiser.
Yeah.
Different approach in terms of the actual like playability.
Well, now that also reminds me that they remade ActRaiser, and I played it obsessively.
That's right. I never played it.
It was the same but different because they added a lot more dialogue. And
I know that they added lore and story and
and more. They added hero characters that would fight on the battlefield with you.
That's cool.
The fights got a lot harder. Like when you get attacked, it's like yeah. It's a lot harder, but it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot more fighting.
There's also there is one SNES game that I streamed at one point. Is one of my favorite games. Is one of Blizzard's first console
Lost
games.
Vikings?
No,
Blackthorn. Yes.
Did you ever play it?
I've watched the playthrough of it. I think I'd have to look and see if it's the one I'm thinking of.
I streamed it, and I
watched you when you played. I think
my dad and I played it religiously. Eventually, beating the game. We did beat the game. I went back and streamed it. Couldn't tell you how we beat it. I got to the very last boss, which is Sarlacc.
I remember that.
And I went, well, I'm done. And I cut the stream. I'm like, all right, guys, I'm done. Have a good one. Because I was so pissed off. It's impossible. And somehow, 7-year-old Chad and his dad blasted through. Well, I wouldn't say blasted through. It probably took us months, but
yeah, it had to be you.
Oh my
Game
God.
Grumps never played it. I was like, I know what.
They never did Blackthorn?
No. I just looked it up. Nothing came up.
That's surprising to me because that like it's one of those ones that's like kind of cult classic-y.
I must have thinking of something similar, but like just a different game. But yeah, but that's why I know it is because I watched you play it.
What's interesting about it though, so it came out before Warcraft, but there's seeds of Warcraft in it. So that it starts off with like the orcs and stuff. And you can tell that like after doing that game, they were like, we want to stay in this world.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like artistically and story-wise things, not gameplay-wise. Gameplay-wise, it's a side-scrolling platforming shooter. But story-wise and world-building-wise, you can see the beginnings of what would eventually become World of Warcraft.
Let's see.
It's pretty cool.
That does remind me, Lost Vikings was a really good. I never played the sequels.
I only played the first one.
The first one, though, it's 2-player and the Super Nintendo thing. That one could be fun to do too.
I would like to do more old Super Nintendo stuff.
Yeah,
there's some great. That's still, I mean, that to this day is still my favorite console because when it came out, nothing else, like when each game came out, most of the time there was not a game like it because they were kind of breaking new ground with most, like them and Sega both doing the same thing, but it was the first time that we jumped up from Mario Brothers to like, oh, they're telling stories now. And it wasn't so much like Mario Brothers, you only knew the story because you read the instruction manual. Yeah, true. Whereas Super Nintendo games, you're now getting the story laid out in front of you.
And that's why Final Fantasy 6 or 3 on Super Nintendo it's the only one I like and I love it. It's one of my favorite games and I have a hard time. No, I shouldn't even say that. It's just I have a hard time playing other Final Fantasies because they're not 6. Yeah. But that was probably the first console story game.
9. I think you
might probably
like
all of them, to be honest. It's just hard for me to get into new ones when it's a different, it's not
9,
the characters I love.
9 feels very much like old school Final Fantasy while looking like a newer Final Fantasy. I mean, it wasn't like, it's 9. It came out on original PlayStation, so it's not amazing or anything, but story-wise, it's fun. The characters are fun. It's really interesting. 10 was...
I played a lot of 10.
Oh, my God. 10 was like... I still prefer 9 because 9 still has that kind of cartoony aspect to it, and it was a more fun story, even though it was heartbreaking. 10 was... like there was nothing fun about 10. It was just sad. Every step of the way was just like, oh, my God.
Well, 10 was the first one I really tried to play since 6. I had played some of 7, but I never got into it, which Bren still gives me crap about, but whatever. Because
I've never played 7. I played 7 for maybe 30 minutes when it was first kind of out.
I actually got it because they put it on the Switch. It was dirt cheap, so I was like, let me try it. And it was actually pretty fun. I'm like, I probably like it now.
Yeah, I think if I went back and tried it now, I'd probably have more fun. Back then when it first came out, I knew a bunch of people who were obsessed with it. Yeah, I played a little bit of it. It's taking its sweet time to get anywhere. Yeah, and they're like, oh, you gotta stick with it. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to stick with something if I don't know that I'm gonna enjoy it, and I'm not enjoying it right now. Yeah. So I don't want to put the time in. And it was just a long, drawn out story over 4 or 5 discs. I'm like, I'm good. Yeah. But now I'm like, you know what? I put 290 hours into Breath of the Wild. I could put in some time to Final Fantasy. It's not that bad.
You just reminded me with your description of that eventually we got to play Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh God, yeah.
Which is... Well, here's the good thing with Metal Gear Solid 2. It's initially more interesting than maybe the rest of them.
I didn't play the last. You played it, didn't you? Didn't I just watch?
I think because that was during COVID.
It might have been.
Yeah, so you were just watching over Discord.
That's right. So I never got a chance to play it, which I'm fine with. I
could play number 2 too. I got no problem with that.
I'm good with just watching them. I don't necessarily. There's nothing that's pulling me towards wanting to play Metal Gear, but I'll be around for the experience.
Okay, that works.
But play wise, I'd be more interested in like what other ones did I miss on Sony? Like Last of Us. I never played the
Last of Us. It'll be interesting. Are you going to watch the show when it comes on?
Yeah, of course.
So
it looks great.
It'll be interesting
and I love Pedro,
for you going in blind to that is a cool idea.
So the thing is, I know loose ideas from Last of Us, like vague things, like I understand about the girl having the immunity to the thing, and he had, well, spoilers. Sorry if anybody doesn't know Last of Us. I know that he had lost his daughter prior, and that he's now got this girl who he's trying to get to this place because they're trying to work on the cure. Correct? Yeah. I know that. That's it.
Good.
And as far as like, to me, it always came off as like, oh, it's a zombie thing, but I don't think it's zombies.
No.
It looks more like mutations.
Clickers.
Yeah, it looks.
They make that like
Mimic
sound,
like the spoons and Mimic. You're not a Mimic fan?
I saw Mimic, but it was a long time ago.
What are you, a Guillermo del Toro hater?
Yeah, I hate everything he did because of Mimic.
Fucking Mimic.
You know why? Because you can't trust a Mimic. I hate a Mimic.
Have you seen the movie Mimic?
For a second, be like, you ever seen a Mimic?
You ever seen a Mimic in the wild? It'll blow your mind.
You're not supposed to see it, but when you see it, you know you saw it.
Or let me be clear. Have you heard a Mimic in the subways? Because it'll terrify you to your core. Now,
don't sit on that bench.
Have you ever seen Mimic?
A long time ago. It would be one that I'd have to watch again.
I haven't seen it in years, but that movie... Cameron, my brother Cameron and I were obsessed with that movie for a while. Yeah. There was like a good year or two where we, like, every couple of weeks we'd be like, we gotta watch Mimic. And to this day we still do the spoons. If you guys have seen the movie Mimic, the sound that the mimics make is like the clickers. And in the movie there's, I believe is it a child, an autistic child or a deaf child? There's a child with some kind of like impairment or disability or something that takes two spoons, like almost like an old blues player, and like a rag, or I don't even remember, bluegrass, and clacks them on their knee like, and the mimics respond to it, and it's like, I think the kid says something like rusty spoon. No, that's fucking salad fingers. Something along the lines of the spoons. But my brother and I still to this day will be like to make the mimic sound. Because we just loved that movie.
Mimics freak me out because of Dark Souls. Because Dark Souls...
Which I've also never played.
Yeah. Dark Souls, there are mimics. You never know where they're going to be. They'll hide them 40 hours into the game before you see one. But you can open a chest, and all of a sudden the chest is like, and it eats you.
So that's a D&D thing.
Yeah, I know.
I think it is. I think they are called mimics in D&D.
Yeah, mimics are a pretty...
I didn't realize that like Dark Souls was like pulling from like all that kind of stuff. I feel like maybe we should do Dark Souls.
Oh, I would love to play Dark Souls. I would love it. You're going to get so angry. You're going to yell it.
Would I get angrier than Cuphead?
Yeah, probably. And it's not to say it's harder than like the original Dark Souls, while still very hard, is nowhere near as hard as every game got harder.
Yeah.
Dark Souls 2 was harder than 1.
I know
3 was harder
that,
than 2. Yeah. Bloodborne is somewhere in that 2 to 3 range, and then you got
Bloodborne was Sekiro the game they made harder before than all that, right?
Was Bloodborne made in
Dark Souls?
No, I think Bloodborne came out along. I think it was being worked on at the same time as number 2, because the guy who did 1 and 3 and Sekiro and all that was not the creative lead on, or it was not the project lead on 2.
Which also Sekiro, that's the one. I was thinking of Ghosts of Tsushima as that game.
Yeah.
I downloaded Ghosts of Tsushima and started playing it. I'm like, oh, this isn't the right game. I know what Ghost of Tsushima is right now because when the trailers came out, the big thing was like the waving grass and everything. I was like, oh, I remember that. That's not the game I was thinking about. I'm thinking about the one where the howling banshee comes flying down from the sky. That's Sekiro, right?
I recorded Hike's response when he was playing that. Yeah,
I do want to play that, but I think I would have to start with Dark Souls to kind of like figure it out.
If you start with Sekiro, Dark Souls wouldn't be as hard for you.
Yeah. Like playing Cuphead expert and then going back to normal and be like, oh, everything's really easy.
Yeah, because it's Dark Souls it's just a perfect entry point.
Yeah.
I mean,
wasn't a newer game that kind of like, am I thinking of Elden Ring where they kind of borrowed certain like...
Well, Elden Ring was from the same guy.
It was?
Yeah.
And it had George R. Martin working on the story.
The way he described it is he said it was like 7 or 8 years before the game finally came out. Like he was basically sat down, wrote the lore, basically like the story Bible, as it were, like of here's what's the backstory.
I actually just listened to an interview with George R. R. Martin, and he was talking about how the guy came to him and asked if he would want to work on this video game, and he's like, I don't do that. And he was just like, no. I have all these characters. I just want you to create the world. And he sat down and basically made a Bible.
Yeah.
And it was like, here you go.
Yeah. And it's great. Elden Ring was amazing.
I do. That's one that I absolutely want to get into. I don't know if that would be like a recording one, because that feels more like Skyrim-ish, where it's a massive game.
And also, it's not the hardest of them. Although at time,
I've heard. I have heard it's not like, it's not Dark Souls hard.
I would put it at like
more
Dark
accessible.
Souls 3, which is to say easier than Sekiro. Yeah, I'd say Sekiro's still his hardest game.
Yeah.
But it's fun. The open world thing is great. If you ever get stuck, you're like, all right, I'll go ride somewhere else.
And is this accurate? It looks like, from what I've seen from Dark Souls, the reason a lot of it is hard is because the game itself, most of it is timing. Literally, like dodging attacks and being
that's all those games is knowing how to time
it's not,
stuff.
Well, I mean, it's not like you're going in and just hack and slashing. Everything is all based off like, I have to pay attention to what this guy's doing, because I have to dodge it to get out of the way.
Probably the one that timing matters the most is Sekiro. That's part of why it's the hardest.
Okay.
But no, his games are difficult because you can't, when you've played a level over and over again, you could kind of just do it in your sleep without thinking. You can't do that with his games, because any enemy, if you are off and you just let them hit you because you're getting lazy, any enemy can kill you.
Okay.
And that's why it's
so it's a game that you just cannot coast through.
Right.
Okay.
And again, eventually, once you become so overpowered, you can go back to earlier areas and then
just demolish
and then be fine. But when you're in the areas you're supposed to be at your current levels and strength and everything, you just can't get lazy. That's all.
But there are elements of like grinding in the game, like leveling up and stuff. Is there any actual traditional grinding, or you actually just level up?
You don't have to,
but you can.
Yeah, you can if you want. I sometimes I do, just because I'm like, in the early levels, it takes so little experience to level up. In those games that I just do it because I'm like, I want to be a little stronger.
Yeah, I always do the same thing.
You can just go back. So basically, like in Dark Souls 1, there's an early area. It's like a dungeon where you go in and you have the sword and the fire. I can't remember what they call it. Where you spawn in, and where when you touch it, it resets all the enemies. So I would there's like 5 or 6 enemies outside. So I'd go out, kill them all real quick, run back in, reset, kill them all real quick. And I would do that kind of thing to level up. But yeah, Elden Ring would be one. I'd be like, yeah, we probably wouldn't record it.
Yeah, that seems like it's too big, but I desperately want to play it just from everything I've seen, because it looks like a mixture. It looked like Dark Souls, Skyrim, and Legend of Zelda all smashed into one thing. And that kind of tickled my fancy.
I think you'd enjoy it. Dark Souls, though, that would be fun to record.
I would like to find a good hardcore platformer, like Hollow Knight style. Which, when the fuck are we gonna see Silks on?
Your guess is as good as mine.
God, like this game better be fucking. It's not even a game. Is it DLC, or is it a?
No, it's a game.
It is a game.
Originally, it was DLC. That's why they were talking about it like, oh, it'll come out sooner. And then when it became so big, they changed that.
It better be bigger than Hollow Knight.
Oh, apparently it is.
If they're going this hard on it, it's got to be like next level.
Have you ever? Do you know Mossbag, the guy? He's
the speedrunner.
I don't know.
I thought he's the guy that breaks down the lore. Yeah, I know him.
He did. His most recent video was him because there was a little bit more footage that came out. So he basically did like a video saying all the lore he could figure out so far from all the footage, and he was putting together like, oh, well, in the backgrounds of this, you can see this. That means that these areas are connected,
tied together, and that's cool.
There's this whole thing on Reddit of they wanted to crowdfund an assassination of Mossbag, because they were like, I bet they keep pushing it back because he keeps figuring it all out before it comes out. And he had to do a video where he addressed like, everybody apparently wants me dead.
That's funny.
One day, God. I hope.
Yeah, I'd like a good platformer, because it's been a while since I've had like a challenge like Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
I started dipping my toes in.
You did Celeste, right?
I did Celeste when it first came out.
Right.
I streamed that did Celeste. I did Gris. I did Gris was beautiful. Mm-hmm. Gris was just
I played that on my own, loved it, and then I made Christine. God. When we had the big TV, it was one of the first things I'm like, we're playing Gris on this TV.
That game like wasn't so much a challenge, but just it was such a beautiful. Yeah.
Narwhal
game.
was one that was like, you got to play this.
I think Narwhal watched me. If I remember correctly, Narwhal was in the mix when I was streaming it initially.
Probably.
And because I didn't have like a big turnout for it because nobody knew what it was.
Right.
But the people that watched me play it were just like, this game is like it's something else. But yeah, no, like I started getting into Dead Cells a little bit. But I kind of fell out of it just because like it is a lot. It's it's a
Dead
lot
Cells
of
is yes.
It's a lot of repetition, which it's fine for a little while, but I have to I have to do it in spurts because at some point I'm just like I'm literally just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Again and again, and it's a cool concept, but like it's a bit much.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing it like solid for like 2 weeks straight, which I played it for like. Probably like a month straight.
I did too. That was one of my go-to Switch games. I think I even streamed it. One time.
You did.
Yeah, it was one of my last streams.
You did. I never. This was after I had already stopped streaming. Yeah. But I actually only didn't. I only got into it.
But they've added so much into that game from other platformers. It became like a go-to thing. Like there's Hollow Knight content. I think
there's something they brought in.
Castlevania.
Castlevania was the newest one. They just made the announcement that they're bringing in Simon Belmont, and which makes perfect sense because Dead Cells more than any other.
Yeah.
Feels like Castlevania.
Yeah, I agree.
Like there's a lot to it that feels very Castlevania-ish. You gotta play Metroid Dread, dude.
Well, I always wanted to kind of just take Metroid, I guess, from Super Metroid on. Like,
well, did we ever do Super Metroid?
No, and I actually avoided because they recently played it on Game Grumps, and I avoided it because I didn't want to.
Actually, you know what?
That's one I'd rather do for here. Yeah.
That might not be a bad idea. I think we should do not just Super Metroid. Mm-hmm. Metroid, Super Metroid, and then Dread. We don't need to do Primes because Dread ties more into the Super Metroid story than it does. Well, no, that's not true. There are things from Prime. There are things from Metroid Other M. There's certain things from other games that do fall into it, but stylistically, gameplay-wise, it is identical to Super Metroid, which is phenomenal.
Okay.
The game itself is just I didn't think that they were gonna have like Super Metroid is still to this day, that and Link to the Past are my two favorite video games of all time. And anytime you have this game, especially when you've had a game that's been your favorite game for over 20 years, the thought of somebody coming in to do another one or a remake or something, you're like, well, there's no way. Because of the nostalgic things that you have tied to it, the experiences you had tied to it when you played it as a child or something like that. There's no way they're going to touch on it. Dread felt like I was playing an HD Super Metroid.
That's cool. Because, I remember thinking that looked really good. Because 3D Metroids never appealed to me as much.
They are fun.
Okay.
I only ever played the original Prime. My brother played the other ones, was obsessed with them. Prime was really good, especially for taking something like Metroid into a 3D space. They did it really well, especially considering they were on the GameCube, which you weren't using traditional like 2 thumbsticks. Is back in the early days of like a lot of first person games. So they still had the C stick. So it wasn't like you had like full range of motion and everything. So it still felt at the time it was like, oh, I'm all over the place. But if you went back now, playing 3D games that you've played now, first-person games, to go back to that, it's like playing GoldenEye now. Hit with the C buttons.
Yeah.
There's a learning curve.
You gotta can't wait for that remake to come out.
I know. But for what it was, Prime, it was big. It was a big game.
I remember at the time, I just didn't play. I didn't have a GameCube.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But
that's probably the only reason I never played it.
But no, if we did Metroid, Super Metroid, and Dread, those 3... you'll shit your pants.
I was looking because it popped in my head when you mentioned the Metroid stuff. Axiom Verge, that's the game. I had to look up the title.
I know the name.
I played a lot of it.
I own it too.
I played a lot of it on Switch, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't finish it. It's one I think I'd have to take from the beginning because it's been too long. But it's really good. Like
a platformer.
Yeah, and it plays like the original Metroid, but with modern control it. So
modern mechanics.
So probably
that's Dread.
Yeah,
Dread
except
is
it has the graphical look also of like of like an 8 or 16 bit, like kind of in that
like Dead Cells was doing.
Yeah, it's got a great overall look. The music's great. The weapons are really fun. So like that's one you should look into is Axiom Verge.
I'll make a note of it. Maybe we could record it.
Maybe. Well,
Dread though, Dreads. So the name Metroid Dread already tells you a little about the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's Metroid Dread. It's not Metroid Prime. It's not Metroid Other M. It's Metroid
like
Dread.
Horror.
There's a little bit of a horror aspect to it in that, like, not so much. There's a certain game mechanic in the game and a certain type of character that when it happens,
engage Dread.
It's not far off.
Yeah. Okay.
So when every essentially you run into this throughout the entire world. There's segments of the map that you have to do certain things, and when it kicks in, your asshole puckers.
Okay.
You basically just go, oh no, run.
Okay.
And
I like the sound
I
of this.
never thought that I'd be playing a Metroid game and going like, no. So it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
God.
I'd be fine going through the Metroids over time.
They'd be cool.
All right. Well, I think we have plenty of things laid out. What we got to do.
Yeah, we've got some ideas going.
I'll kind
forward.
of like make a notepad file with all the games that we like when I'm going through editing this.
Yeah,
I'll mark down all the ones we've mentioned.
I would, you know what, at some point too. So we're gonna laying some stuff out for you guys, just kind of what to expect from us. One of the things I would like to do, not necessarily like transitioning the channel to this, but one or two. I do think we need to do a movie watch and react for a couple things.
I would like to, honestly, I wouldn't mind completely ripping off the regulars and doing a react channel, which is the people that Ian plays with, because I think it would be it's the kind of thing we could all film from home.
Yeah. We can absolutely film from home, and because of that, we can also have like guests.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Get Jason,
our pals, Jason.
If we could get Jason and Tuck,
our pal Tuck,
and we did
maybe
stuff.
Some other special guests. I don't know.
Oh,
we know a couple
of
people.
Of course.
Tragic.
Well,
Narwhal. There's plenty of people.
Oh my god, we still don't know what he looks like.
There's plenty of people who we could get. Who like we could pull in as like a guest to just do like a react to either a movie or like just something.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I think that could be a lot of fun.
I think setting up a thing, get us as like the four of us initially, and then like because that's actually what the regulars do.
Yeah,
still they got their core people, and then like Ian will be in on an episode.
Yeah,
or some of the other people they have will be on for one or so. So and the way they do it, it's like they all just have their green screen at home. They all record their own video and audio, and then
it'd be perfect.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun.
I think we would just have to figure out what we're doing. Like, I would like to do like a movie at some point. You know what I would like to do? It'd be rough because we've already seen it.
Well, we could also do react with us, and also because there is a series that I want to bring to you that I've been wanting to for years, ever since they put the whole thing up on YouTube, WMCA Masters. Which was a show that used to come on after wrestling when I was a kid, and I hadn't seen it since I was a kid. And then randomly, I was typing it in.
Sounds familiar.
It was actually it was a stunt team essentially who had their own show and were able to use the sets around Universal Studios.
Oh, that's cool.
And they all had characters. There were storylines. Really, really bad acting from some of them. Good acting from some, but it would just be like, oh my god, hey man, where'd you get your name? Well, is when I was a kid. And then they'd do like a flashback to like show the character when they were younger. And then when that happened, that's why they call me the Machine. It's just like so like that. And it's so cheesy, but it's so good. And I've been wanting to do like the way, because I've become a big fan of like the video essay format. Like I would love to do something like that mixed with a react just to show you the show because it's so funny.
I just had a thought.
Yeah, what?
I want to have you watch Love is Blind on Netflix and react to it.
Oh, is that the one with the guy that you showed me? Okay, yeah, I would love.
Oh God, that just popped into my head. That was not even a thought as far as the React thing, but now I'm thinking about it. So my fiance, when like if she's home alone or like cleaning the house or something, like I'll do the same thing. We'll put on random stuff as background noise, and we're neither of us are like reality TV show people.
Yeah.
She tells me she's like, oh God, I started watching this show on Netflix called Love is Blind. And she explains the premise to me, which is where they've got like 16 guys in a room, 16 girls in a room. And there's this hallway with these booths and there's a wall separating them where you randomly get assigned to a booth and you go in and you talk to a person. You can't see the person. You're supposed to connect without seeing them.
Right.
But at the end of it, the whole thing is that the expectation is a few of them are going to propose marriage without ever having seen these people. And it's literally it seems like it's literally over the course of a few days. As the whole concept. And then after they propose, they get to meet each other and then they have to go be with each other for a few days while the wedding is getting set up. And then at the end, they have to go get married. And are they actually going to get married? Or is one going to be like, no, you're a scumbag, I'm leaving. And they just leave them at the altar. It's some of the people are just so oblivious to just like, I don't know, social normalcy.
Who's that guy?
Shane.
Okay. Cause you showed me a compilation a few weeks ago of
I just
was he like
no, he's got Busey teeth.
Yes.
His eyes bug out of his head and the guy seems like he's tweaking constantly. And watching him, you're just like, stop talking, buddy.
Very dude bro-y.
No.
Well, to be fair, I didn't see the full show. I just saw little clips.
I can't describe him as a human being to you.
Yeah.
Personality wise, because
he was odd.
I don't even know. What's funny is, so Christmas came and went, and on Christmas Day, like we give my fiance and I, we do the presents with the kids and we give each other our gifts. We set a price limit for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And there was one thing I wanted to get her, but it was $150 that I didn't. We had already hit the limit, and I'm like, I can't spend another $150. Shane's on Cameo.
Oh my God.
And oh boy, I wanted so badly to go and get a cameo from Shane telling her Merry Christmas.
When's her birthday?
It's August. But at that point, it'll be so gone out of our minds at that point. But this was like weeks after.
Pick a really unimportant holiday.
Like Arbor Day?
Yeah, but something that's...
Happy
President's Day. President's Day.
It's Martin Luther King's birthday. Here you go. Happy Martin Luther King Day.
But you got to tell...
Isn't that like next week?
Yeah. No. Wait, is it President's Day?
No, Martin Luther King Day.
Okay. You should get him. Get Shane and be like, I want you to wish a happy President's Day or a happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day to my fiance.
God. Can we get a cameo of him introing our channel?
Oh.
I'm just saying.
Okay, everybody.
Oh my God, if we do a react. Okay, if we do a react.
Yes.
To Love is Blind.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should spring for him introing the videos.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would definitely be
just as a little like, hi, this is Shane, and you're watching Chad and Russ watching Love is Blind. Oh my God, that show. Oh, it hurt my heart. Like,
if you want to see what we mean in the meantime, just look up Love is Blind Shane and there's compilations.
SHAYNE.
Right.
Shane. Yeah. Oh man, now I'm excited about watching Love is Blind. I only watched season 2. I watched 1 or 2 moments of season 1 and 3. My fiance watched all of them. I watched most of season 2. I missed a few in the middle, but I was like, I don't care. I'll watch this if you're watching when I get home from work. I'll sit down and watch it because it's nuts.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like chaotic crazy, but the concept itself is just like, what are you all doing? Mm-hmm. Like, why are you doing this? Just don't do this.
Well, if we can, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure that out, how we want to do those types of things.
Start a new channel where we just react to reality shows. I've never other than that, I've never sat and watched an actual reality show. Not even an episode. Other than the Osbournes.
I was going to say, like, even the Osbournes?
The Osbournes I used to watch.
Well, the Osbournes was better because they actually stayed with them for like 6 months.
Yeah, it was. The Osbournes was also like, it was chaos. Yeah. You were watching a drugged up Ozzy, unfortunately, try to navigate life with his family. And it was just like
more
Jesus.
legitimate because it was before. It's kind of like the first season of Survivor before everybody figured out different ways of how this should work.
Yeah.
They're just like, you got more honesty out of it.
My issue with reality shows has always been that, like, they're very clearly manipulated by producers. So the action, like, even the term reality show is like, well, it's not though. I mean, like, people's reactions and personalities are real, but like, the circumstances are almost always manufactured. So you're not really getting reality out of it. But after watching Love is Blind and knowing that going in, they made a pretty entertaining show.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, as long as there's no, like, it can be fun if you just get the right personalities in there. There was a show,
Ralph,
called what?
The Ralph Show? Joe Schmo?
The Joe Schmo was amazing.
Good God. I did watch those. I watched those when I was in California.
Did you see that there was a third season that came out only a few years ago?
I only saw, so that came out when I was in Jersey back again? Like since 2017?
Maybe it was before then, but it was more recent than the first two seasons.
Yeah, so I watched the first two. The first two came out like towards the end.
When I was in college.
2000, yeah.
It was like, because I remember the first season was on when I was in
I didn't watch those until I moved to California.
Yeah.
And my family that I stayed with when I was there were obsessed with Big Brother. They were just, they paid for the service so they could watch the 24-hour feeds. Like, they were obsessed with Big Brother.
That stuff, yeah.
And I was like, you guys are nuts. I can't stand anybody.
Yeah.
And my one, I think one of my uncles was like, oh, you should watch the Joe Schmo Show. Or it might have even been you.
Could have been.
You might have told me.
I was obsessed with that show when it came out. Yeah.
I think we probably had the conversation of me going like, oh, my family just watches Big Brother, these reality shows. Bah. And you were like, oh, you should watch Joe Schmo Show. I watched the 2 seasons and they were.
And it's weird. Kristen Wiig's in the first season.
Yeah.
That was the weirdest. And she was one of the first people that is voted out. Like, she's barely in it.
That is still some of the best television I've ever seen is the Joe Schmo Show. It was just unbelievable.
Well, there was a third season where Ralph is a bounty hunter, and the whole thing is about.
Told me about.
Yeah, the whole thing is about him finding his like next bounty hunter apprentice. It's good. You should absolutely check it out.
God, I love Ralph.
Yeah, he's great. But no, I was gonna say there's a thing called
Ralph Garman, by the way, folks. If you're interested, Hollywood Babylon with Kevin Smith podcast. Check it out.
There was a guy, there was a show called Unreal. I think it's over now on Lifetime of all things, but it was really good. And it was based on a short film that I saw when I was at South by Southwest. That's really good. I cannot remember the title offhand. Just look up the Lifetime show Unreal and find what it was based on. But it was a short film that was about the behind the scenes working on a reality show. And it starts with, it's kind of like The Bachelor, where it's like he chooses between the last 2 women, like who he's going to propose to. And he proposes to one girl. And so then the one who didn't get it storms out. And the short film, it's only like a 15-minute film, but it's about one of the producers, also a woman, who the girl's refusing to do her exit like interview thing. Like, she doesn't want to be on camera or talk to anybody.
She just wants to be done with it.
She has to try and manipulate the situation to get her exit interview. And it's it makes you feel so gross watching it, because the person who wrote and directed it was a former, like, she worked as like,
so they knew the ins and outs.
Yeah, she was like a production assistant for The Bachelor or something. So she was just talking about like things she saw,
the shit that they really do.
And then they turned it into a full show with Craig Bierko as one of the guys on it, as like the guy behind the scenes running things.
I love a good Craig Bierko.
And Shiri Appleby, who did not annoy me in this show, because I watched.
Which one is that?
She was the one who was the star of Roswell.
I didn't watch Roswell.
So Roswell, I didn't like her on it, but that's because I didn't like her character. It wasn't anything against her, but her performance in this, I really liked. And because I watched like the first half of the first season, and it's just one of those things I have to get back to one day.
Yeah.
But you should look it up. It has the blonde girl. I think Anna Camp was her name from True Blood. If that'll help you on IMDb find it if you want to check it out. It's very good.
You know what? I think maybe we should start a new channel.
Oh, we could.
Just that kind of like I not necessarily reality shows, but I think the idea now, the more that we're talking about this, the idea of us trying to find like crazy, ridiculous reality show, not The Bachelor, not Survivor, like shit that you just watch and you go like, they aired this.
There's some very obscure reality shows.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I think, especially folks, if you in the comments know of any reality shows that you yourselves looked at and were just like, what is happening to the world?
The smaller the network it was on, the better.
Yeah. More obscure stuff that you didn't talk about at the water cooler at work. Like stuff that you were embarrassed to talk about because you felt like you did something bad by watching it.
Yeah.
Send them our way because I'm just curious now how deep this rabbit hole goes.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be fun. Well, here, you know what? We've been going for an hour, which is great. Perfect. 1 hour. We literally just passed it.
Nice.
I mean, in the recording, I don't know where we're at in the video, but how much time do you have?
Not much. I don't know if we're going to have time for gaming so much right this very second.
Okay, so we don't have to stop talking right away then.
Yeah, technically, no. Well, what else we got? I mean, I love the idea of doing the reality stuff. But there's also like, and you know what sucks is like I on one hand I love the idea of doing like react stuff because it is fun. And it was something that I used to fucking shit on.
I remember.
Yeah. Well, it was I still kind of do because a lot of you look at a lot of the react stuff and some of it is it's forced reactions. Whereas like that I've found certain types of reaction channels that are more genuine to where it literally feels like you're sitting on the couch with somebody watching something and just bullshitting with each other.
Right.
Versus this like, oh, I can't believe it. Oh my God. Like it sounds like WWE commentary to like a movie trailer and it's not, and you can clearly tell that it's not coming from a genuine place. It's not genuine excitement. It's manufactured excitement for the purpose of having an exciting reaction to something.
That's one thing I will give the regulars credit for. They do tend to, they're lower key about that. They don't.
There's a couple that I might actually,
of them,
I'll actually give you a couple channels to just take a look at. Because some of them are like, they're genuinely enjoyable personalities and people. And they literally just feel like you're sitting on the couch with them watching and then just going like, fuck, man, that was badass.
Yeah.
But because of that, like I've always been conflicted about even the idea of doing reactions.
But as long as we keep it honest.
But it's also like
that's part of it.
What sucks though is it's also a little bit of it is like we're so late to the game with it. Of just doing it, but it's also something that we used to do this before it was ever a thing, just like the gaming stuff, just like everything else we've ever done,
just like that early YouTube stuff when we said, hey, we got this we did the first thing we ever produced for YouTube for Indie Mogul was
the amount of time
was us sitting down. We'd watch through things, write up reaction stuff, and we did it. And that was 2006, 2007.
The amount of times that we've done,
it had to be
we've talked about it before, but the amount of times that we've done or come up with things, and we just never executed on it. We never actually pulled the trigger on things, or never had the opportunity to. And then 6 years later, seeing that thing become the thing.
I'll still never forgive Justin for turning down our video game channel idea.
To be fair, well, that wasn't Justin. That was actually so when it happened, that was the network head.
It was him too.
But it was also the network head.
Justin can't hide his look when he doesn't. He has this smile, but these sort of panic in his eyes.
Also, like, Justin's he's not a gamer. He's too, telling us. It was also a little tough for somebody to wrap their head around.
He should have realized that we were, and we knew what we were talking about. Whatever. That's still because that would have been like around the same time that Angry Video Game Nerd was starting.
Yeah.
So, we showing that there
absolutely would have been before Angry Video Game Nerd had we had the channel,
or like peers.
We literally
like we would have just been like doing.
It literally was like everything that video game channels became was what we pitched to this network head.
This is when YouTube first started. There were networks and.
No, there weren't. When YouTube first started, in the infancy of YouTube, it was just independent people.
I forgot that networks eventually became a thing you could sign up for.
Yes,
I mean, like, it was this company that basically owned a group of channels.
Their idea. Yeah. So as explained to us, back in like 2006, when YouTube had first just started kind of really picking up some steam. Mm-hmm. It was still just people posting home videos, and like you'd see occasional like short films occasionally. And the old president of Nickelodeon and MTV, I don't know the guy's name. He created this thing called Next New Networks. His idea was, well, YouTube is kind of becoming this like place for video hosting and everything, and it's all just user generated. Well, what if there was like a network of channels that made produced shows on YouTube, which nowadays that's all you. Wow. That's most of YouTube that you see, at least through the algorithms.
It was further back than I thought too. 2006 was when Next New Network started.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know why I remember that, but that's
I remember, and there were like Channel Frederator, which is Frederator Studios is now a big thing. They started as a network on Next New Networks.
They had at the time they had started. I think they had like 7 or 8 channels. One of them was Threadbanger.
Yeah.
Channel Frederator, Indie Mogul, which we eventually worked on over the course of a few years. But at one point, we had done a pilot. We did a couple videos it was essentially a kind of mystery science theater. It was Dread Theater.
Yeah.
We had done these couple episodes of this pilot, and they performed not too bad. Like they did okay, but they wanted us to come up. They wanted us to use it or do it on our own platform.
That's
build
a great
an
idea.
Audience.
Now you guys make and it was like we did not have the time.
No.
Or the money or the support, you know.
We were also young, and we were also like we fully kind of took that. We blew it on our own.
Well, we just couldn't get.
We both got pissy.
We did get pissy.
We both got pissy because they said, "Oh, these are great. Now put them on your own channel, build your audience, and bring it back to us with an audience." And we were like, "Fuck you!
We don't build an audience. We make a good product.
Yeah. So I mean, to be fair, I still think that's that's correct.
Yes,
but we did get pissy about it, and we're like, "Well, fuck that." So, but because of the work we had done with them, they came to us and asked us about doing, they had thought of doing a video game type channel. They just didn't know what it would be. They were like, well, we're interested in doing something with video games, but we don't know. Because at the time, G4 was kind of like popular. Yeah. They had, Justin, when he had messaged us, had talked about them possibly doing something with video games.
We were the ones that pitched the idea of it, and they kind of turned it down.
All they told us, video games. Nothing. They didn't tell us what it was. They just said we're interested in it because of they had G4 kind of popping at the time, and G4 was mostly based around video games. So they're like, well, what can we do with that? We came up with an entire like a program list.
Yeah,
we had at least 8 types of shows that we like it gave a paragraph description of each. We'd have a title of a show or a concept of a show with a paragraph description. It was a full page of about 7 or 8 ideas. And it was all handwritten too. We literally like hand wrote this in. I think this was in the apartment, or no, not in the apartment. No, this was before that. Where were we? Before
that, I still lived at home.
Oh, we were at. I think we were at Tuck's house, literally writing on a notepad.
I think we were.
And they eventually came back to us with they decided to go in another direction. They're not really concerned with video games. 3 or 4 years later, what's the biggest thing on YouTube? And what is literally every single fucking thing that we described as an episode or show was what is now gaming on YouTube.
Yeah.
It was like reactions. It was the playthrough Let's Plays.
Yeah,
it was one of them was the versus
showcasing old games too.
You and I, retro stuff. Yeah, there was one that was you and I playing essentially competition. There was one that we called just versus screen.
Yeah, and, something like
that. There were a couple different show ideas that we came up with that now laid. It's essentially that would.
It was the stuff that people started doing because it made sense
years later, and that it sucks because that's not the only time we've done that. There's so many things that we've talked about that like 2 years later it happens, and we're like, well, shit.
Look, we talked endlessly, so I don't want to get into a tangent, although this may cause it. So I'm gonna. Because we've talked about it so many times, but we did write a zombie western that people were like, nah, people aren't into zombies right now. Or westerns were not. So and then a couple years later.
The actual thing that we got back, and I know this because I got it in person in the fucking production offices.
Yeah.
We wrote this zombie western script years ago. And I had a chance to fly out to California and actually go to the production offices of Bender Spink. And at the time they were doing like comedies. They had done. Did Bender Spink have anything to do with Butterfly Effect, or was that just new? I think that was just New Line. Oh wait, maybe they did. But at the time, their big one was Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds. And we wrote this script, and our buddy Tuck at the time was actually out west working for this company. He was the assistant to one of the owners of the company, to Chris Bender. And he got our script in his hands, and the guy liked the script. And it was like, oh, Jesus Christ, are you serious? Like, somebody in Hollywood just read our script and said they like it.
Yeah.
What do we do with this? So there was a lot of back and forth between us and our buddy Tuck, and little rewrites. We would do the thing. And I had the opportunity to go out there because I was like, oh, I'm going to go out there to visit family anyway. I'll come out and I'll go to Hollywood and I'll visit the office and I'll talk to Chris Bender. I'm going to talk to the owner of Bender Spink, which was trippy in its own right. Like, that was just a weird experience.
Yeah.
But we were told by I don't remember if you remember this part too. So at his office, we talk about it a little bit, and then he just goes, you know what? Like, we absolutely loved the script. We thought it was fantastic. Unfortunately, we don't think we can market zombies.
Yeah.
Because at the time, to be fair, zombies hadn't been a thing in a good long while.
At best, because this was
a few years after the...
well, Dawn of the Dead, honestly, that's why I never quite understood that, because it was after Dawn of the Dead.
It was after Dawn of the Dead remake.
But there was after also 28 Days Later.
After 28 Days Later and Dawn of the Dead, and then all was quiet on the zombie front. There wasn't much else other than like small things you'd find here and there. And the thing that we were pitching was a zombie western. So it was also like taking...
westerns especially were not back in vogue
so
yet.
We're taking two kind of forgotten genres and smashing them together and trying to make it work. And they said that they couldn't market it. We had gone to a party later that night. He brought me out, and that's where I met Jason Katz, the guy who eventually got Freddy versus Jason made. Who he had read our script, loved it. And the phrase, you guys have a voice, was the one that stuck in my head that I was like, oh shit, you know what? Like, anybody could write something, but to have somebody who literally his day in and day out activities are reading scripts to say like, you have a voice, was like, shit, we might not have sold the movie, but fucking, that's good to hear. I like that.
You know?
But then what was it? 4 years later, The Walking Dead comes out.
Yeah.
And then zombies are the only thing you can find in television
and games and everything. It's just all in cover culture. It's it's unfortunate. Basically, my point was to say, like, again, we were, as another example, we were a little ahead of the curve.
Yeah, ahead of the curve. Yeah, we didn't fully understand how to navigate it ourselves.
We're not self-promoters either.
We're suck at it.
That's always been our problem, because we can make, and that's one of the things that I eventually had to realize. Like, I'm a good soldier, but I'm not a general. So it's like, as long as, like, I'll do the job, just make sure you pay me well. And that's me. And you're the one making sure that it gets out there, and I'm good.
We honestly, I wish if I could change anything from the past 20 years, if we had two things, if we had a producer,
and
a hype man,
Yeah, we needed a hype man.
The problem was, like, the closest thing we had to a producer was Jason, who's a neurotic mess. And the closest thing we had to a hype man was Tuck.
Who's not energetic.
Who's a fucking shiftless layabout. Who has no energy to him whatsoever.
Tuck as a hype man would be like, he'd go up to some people at a bar and nudge them and be like, I have these guys, you think they're any good?
Oh, my friends do that. It's kind of silly, but like, I don't know, check it out if you want. That's the extent of Tuck's hypeness.
Yeah.
But if we had a producer to kind of rein us in, and to kind of steer the ship, it would have
it's funny.
Been totally different.
Producers, what I eventually realized, not that kind of not a money producer, not an executive producer.
I'm talking about like
an on-set producer is what I eventually realized I should have been.
Yeah.
Because at least when on set, I could steer the ship, but I also don't need to be. I could be there and be the one going, all right, you do this, you do that. All right, you're going. Okay, hey, director, you're doing. All right. Like, what do you need done? Okay, I'll get somebody on it. Like, I can do that. That's kind of that's what I realized when I did a lot of that shooting for, like, when I did Angel of the City and when I did a few other ones around that time.
Well, that's why I feel like
where I was like, shit. Oh, okay. Blind Panda was where I really realized that.
Yeah.
Because Bob, he's so, like, that's somebody who should be directing.
Yeah.
Because he's so good and he gets people to listen and people pay attention to him. And he's got such a great energy. He really wanted me to be directing everything they did. And that was the biggest mistake because I was kind of like, all right, but I would have rather just been there overseeing things.
Yeah.
Blind Pandas, I think those would have done better and been better if Bob was the guy in charge of telling everybody what to do and I was making sure it.
Well, I think that's why you and I worked good as like co-directors essentially, because like you were really good at like logistical things and I was really good at like the crazy shit of like, oh, we're gonna have him run it, like staging stuff and like and figuring out like how to actually talk to the people to get them to do the things that we kind of needed them to do. And I feel like between the two of us, we made one director.
Yeah.
But
at the same time, I feel like you could direct, but then just have me behind you going, Like, I think that may have been a good idea too.
I honestly, because of the fact that like, which I'm only realizing now, and I'm going to go to a doctor for.
Oh yeah.
I am full blown ADHD. Like, and it's only within the past year that I've really like kind of wrapped my brain around it and realized how much it's affected how I've gone through my life.
Yeah.
And it's actually depressing as shit. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Because like all these things came from like my inability, like at least on my end. A lot of these things came from my inability to focus. I could not, like, how many times would I call you at 2 a.m. going, I had an idea for a video, write it down. Well, I can't. You gotta hear this idea coming out of my head so I don't forget it when my brain eventually moves on to the next stupid thing.
And that's where I was always like, yeah, you should write it just because like,
but I couldn't.
Because I couldn't write what you have. Like,
I know. I would literally call Russ at like 2 a.m. with ideas for videos or movies because it popped in my head and I like, without knowing this like ADHD shit, I knew that I was going to lose the thought in just a matter of moments.
Yes. And actually, that reminds me of something that actually, something that you can run with that too. I think that affected as far as like video wise goes. You know, the music video for, I think your ADHD sometimes like
goes overboard.
Like you hit the idea and then you go too far past the idea.
ADHD.
And it's not that it's actually a great idea. It's just it's too big.
Yeah.
Like that thing when they wanted to do the Ready to Go video. Well, I still remember being like, okay.
What was, you know what's funny is like, and it would, if we had gotten to shoot that, it would have been so much fun, but the getting to be able to shoot it part is the problem.
It was just the practicality.
Yeah.
So it was like, and I still remember when Tuck came to me and I was like, well, all right. I'm like, and I'm like, I'll still shoot it.
To be fair. So that one.
Okay. Well, just some background. We're originally just, if you want to look it up on YouTube, Ready to Go from, who is it?
Slave Revolt.
Not Slave Revolt. The original.
Oh my God.
Just look up Ready to Go. It's one of the most. It's a famous music video from like
Ready to Go.
2000.
It's from the movie. They play it in Vegas Vacation. while she's dancing in the broken down strip club signs.
Either way, it's just a video where it's constant zooming. It's like it's like zooming in and out, and also
cutting to multiple sets. Like that was the biggest issue. My idea was to
all the original idea was, and Tuck came to me and I was like, yeah, that would be great. We should do that. He was like, we just want to shoot a video like this. We'll get Jim, the singer, into the same red dress that the singer of that band is wearing. Go to some locations, just do the infinite zoom, constant thing, and just recreate it with their cover of the song. And that was the original idea. I'm like, yeah, we could absolutely do that. We find a few locations to go perform in. And then
I had the bright idea. And the problem was I had the idea and I told Jim, and Jim was excited.
Once I heard, because Tuck goes, oh, well, Jim's really behind this idea. And I was like, well, all right. I mean, I'll shoot it, but I don't know if you can pull it off. Great.
My idea, because that song in particular was featured in a lot of 90s movies.
Yeah,
late 90s movies. It was a very prominent song.
Very of that time.
Of like fast paced or like also like indie film. Like it was just it was around a lot. So my idea was to do that zoom in, zoom out thing from their video. But instead of cutting to the different scenes where they'd just be zooming in and zooming out of an apartment building or something like that, we would cut to recreations of certain movies that the song was featured in and have them dressed as characters in the movies while performing the song in the environment of that particular film. And each one would only be like 5 to 10 seconds long, but there were like 7 or 8 movies. I even cut together.
You put a big list of things together.
I also cut together a concept.
That's right.
Video using the actual films of my idea.
I remember you had me download them and send them over to you.
And to be fair, it was a really cool idea that we absolutely could not pull.
Yeah, it's just a practicality
issue. Made even worse by the fact that 3 weeks later, the pandemic hit.
Yeah. Once that hit, it was like, I still think we should just get together and do it.
It was like, well, we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
There's no way we can do a second of footage for this thing.
I think we should still all find a way to get them together and shoot it just because it would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Just because I also realized
love that cover.
The problem with infinite zooms and sensors on cameras now is because of that rolling shutter. It wouldn't look right.
Yeah.
But I have and also even ones that have global shutter, they tend to have electronic zooms, so it couldn't get the speed. James McDonough sent me his old Panasonic DVX 100, so it would have to be shot standard def, but it had a manual zoom.
Yeah, but you know what? Shooting it in standard def,
it would also give it the better look.
It would also look like the old video.
Right. So that's why it's like we have the camera.
We should shoot it full frame too. That could be fun.
I'd have to look up how that sensor works and see about shooting it, but I can then just crop it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't necessarily need to shoot it in 4:3, but I think if we cropped it at 4:3 with standard definition,
yeah, it has the right zoom. That's cool. I'm like, I would get that thing prepared for that.
But yeah,
that would
in
be
any
so
case, that's my ADHD in a nutshell. And what's funny is it'll happen rapid fire like that.
Yeah.
And then 3 seconds later, my brain ping pongs around to something else. And I have no control over it. And I always knew that about me, but I never actually thought about it. I knew I'll just forget it. But now that I'm actually thinking about it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. Like my brain's just like an untethered animal. Like it has there's no reining it in.
I had ADHD as a kid, as a lot.
I did too. Apparently,
a lot of people our age did. But as I got older, post college, and especially once I hit around 25 or so, it just sort of morphed into just regular ADD.
Yeah.
Which I do my best to fight. I think my current medication actually helps a little with it, so I'm like, that's nice.
Yeah, I don't know. But my problem has always been too, especially now I'm a little more keen to try it, but I think it was never that I wasn't against medicating or anything like that. I always thought of it as how the fuck is that gonna? Mm-hmm. I couldn't comprehend how it could possibly make this up here a more guided, narrow focused area. Mm-hmm. I can't comprehend how it could possibly do that. Even though I'm not a dumb person and I understand how medication works and how it actually triggers the brain and everything. But even that, knowing it, I can't imagine it ever happening.
Yeah.
So I never.
It
even
would be
gave
weird
it
for you to be
thought.
on a to not
Can
have
you
it there.
imagine me with focus? Like, what would it be like? I don't know.
Just go down to your place one day. It's empty. You're just like, well, we've moved into a much bigger mansion. We have a giant pool in the back, statues, a gate.
Oh, Russ, my boy!
You got a cigar. You're just
a pipe and a robe. I'm like, Russ, my boy, welcome to the grounds.
Amazing things can happen when you focus.
Oh, fuck, man. Yeah, I'm gonna. I do want to. I actually want to go to a doctor about it.
Good.
I want to go soon. But the problem is, and you know what's funny? I don't go to doctors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember you. That was a thing with you for the longest time.
And there's a couple reasons. I've never been against doctors.
Mm-hmm.
You know why I don't go to doctors?
Why?
And I didn't realize it until probably the last few months. I can't make the phone call to schedule an appointment.
Me too. Christine schedules my appointments.
I have an anxiety about calling up it.
Dude, I can't order pizza. She has to call every time.
I can do that.
I can't.
I can do that.
I just don't like doing that on the phone.
I can call and order food.
Oh, okay.
But for some reason, for doctors,
yeah,
it's like there's so much that I need to do.
Yes.
And it costs so much money. And it's all these things.
Okay.
So and then also just my social anxieties and everything. Mm-hmm. The thought of like me having to pick up a phone.
Yeah.
To say, hi, I need to schedule an appointment. I physically cannot do it.
Yeah.
So
because it can feel in your head like they're gonna be like, okay. Like that's like in my head for some reason. When I have these issues,
I don't even know.
I feel like I'll call with that, so it's more of a social anxiety issue for me. But I guess because like the idea is, I feel like I'll call up like a delivery place and be like, "Hi, I'd like to place an order for delivery," and they'll be like, "What?"
Yeah,
even though I know they won't. But it's just, and it's like that with anything. Christine jokes all the time. She'll be like, anytime, like we have to make an eye appointment. She's like, I guess I should call. And I'm like, yeah, you call.
That's where I'm getting now. Like, I can't. So the back of my teeth are all fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, bad. And I should, and it's because I haven't gone to I hadn't gone to dentist for the longest time.
When's the last time you went to dentist? Because for me, it's been.
What do you mean? Like, are we talking like? Oh, I just gotta go get a checkup.
Perfect. Yeah, like a checkup.
When I was 12.
Okay, so it's more. For me, it was 18 or 19.
Yeah. So I have gone to dentists since then for like, I had to have a tooth pulled. At one point I had the tooth pulled when we were shooting Closing Time.
Okay, I forgot about that.
That was one time. Mm-hmm. But the problem, so I have you would think, he doesn't go to the dentist. He's probably afraid of the dentist. No, I had to have a root canal 2 years ago, right before the pandemic. Actually, it was the first time that I was like, I'm going to address this. I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. I have no problem. You can stick shots in my gums. I don't care.
Yeah.
I fell asleep through my root canal, and they were like, you slept through the whole thing. And I'm like, I warned them. I was like, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm sleep apnea. I had the machine, but I was like, listen, my sleep, I sleep weird. I could fall asleep. Like I fell asleep at a metal concert. Like I could fall asleep while you're doing this. I'm like, oh, okay. I was warning them because of my snoring.
Yeah.
Slept through the whole thing. I passed out.
Yeah.
They were going to town, and like I woke up. I was like, "Oh, is it already done?" They're like, "You slept the entire time," and I was like, "Yeah, I told you." And I wasn't
like
Christine's
knocked out. Dream to sleep through the.
I literally they didn't use like gas on me. They just numbed my gums.
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right, well, am I able to sleep? Because I'll pass out right now." And they're like, "Yeah, it's okay. If we need you for anything, we can wake up." I'm like, "Sure." I passed out. Was out the entire time. Had a full root canal done. With not even realizing it, was fine afterwards. I don't care. Getting into that office,
yeah, that's the hard part.
Because I had to call and make an appointment. Mm-hmm. Totally different game there.
Yeah,
it messed me up. So now I'm like, I'm trying. I made a doctor's appointment for the first time last year with her doctor, who's down south. Met with him, and he was like, "All right, well, all you gotta do is." You got to go to LabCorp and get blood work done. And I'm like, okay. So that's another, I have to go to another place.
Yep.
Never did it.
Yeah.
Left my job, started a new job. So my insurance kind of took a lapse. I'm like, oh, I gotta wait. Left that job, started another job, got insurance. Didn't call that doctor back until a year after my very first visit with him. Did a telecall, and he's like, "Oh, hey, you're back." And I broke it down. I'm like, "Listen, all right, yeah, I had some hiccups with my health insurance, and to be fair, I did have a lot going on this year. There was a lot, so I was just, especially for my brain, it's like I can only focus on a couple things. That's something that like I should be focusing on, but I can't right now. I can't. I physically can't." Called him up, and he's like, "All right, so yeah, all you gotta do is get your blood work." And I'm like, "Right."
Right, the blood work.
And I told him, I'm like, listen, last time also, like, I'm not good with that. Like, just going to.
Oh, you said that to him, huh?
And he's like, well, we have blood work here. I'm like, you do? And he's like, yeah, just, schedule the. Do you want me to schedule it for you? I'm like, yes, you schedule it. I'll show up. I'll show up. Scheduled it. I didn't show up.
What?
Because, no, something actually came up. It was something with the kids.
Oh, okay.
And then they were like, oh, you can come the next.
You literally, did you know this? I didn't. You can just show up.
So
I did.
I go there for the scheduled one.
Okay.
And they didn't tell me. I've never had blood work in an office done.
Okay.
I've had blood taken once. And it was at my old job. The hardware place.
Okay.
When they brought a blood van in, and they were like, "Oh, you get a free Taco Bell meal out of it," and I was like, "Oh, sweet."
Oh, giving blood. Okay.
I didn't know you were supposed to fast beforehand, so I had a bagel and cream cheese, and I go there, and they're like, "So did you fast?" I'm like, "No." What you? I'm like, "I had a bagel and cream cheese," and they're like, "I mean, we could do it, but your numbers are probably gonna come back all crazy, and they might put you on like medication you don't need." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll come back."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Thursday will work, right? I'm off Thursday." You called me and were like, "You want to record?" And I was like, "Sure."
Oh, no, get your dang blood work
derailed me. That was last week.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, so this Thursday.
Yes.
This Thursday, and she told me, she was like, "You can just come in." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So this Thursday, the kids get out of school early, but that morning I'm going to go get the blood work done at least.
That's good.
So I'm.
You're getting there.
Getting there, but good God, the struggle. The mental struggle of just having to call to do a thing.
Yeah. One thing I do love about where we live about 70 miles south of where we used to live. We still go to our old doctor because it's just one big campus. Everything, all our doctors are in one building. It's the easiest thing. You just pull in, you go in.
They have those down here too.
I know, but like
if you find one you like, I get that.
That's
totally
especially with Christine.
Yeah,
we had so many bad doctors.
Yes, but if you've got a doctor that, if you're still in a reasonable distance, like that's not terribly
It's kind of
far.
crazy, but we also use it as an excuse. We go visit our parents.
Exactly.
So
you guys have more things that you can do. It's not going like, I got to go take a 20-minute doctor's appointment up in northern New Jersey.
But I would never be able to do the multiple, like the way you were mentioning, like I go to a lab corp and do something with them and then go to a different building. I go to third floor.
It's too much.
Give blood. Go down one floor. There's my doctor.
If there was a building that literally, if they just had like each of them, if there was a general practitioner, like a couple specialists, ENT, stomach, ass, everything all right there. And I could just walk in and be like, all right, point me to who to go to next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
it'd be amazing.
Summit Health. I wish they were down here. That's why we had the Summit Health Berkeley Heights campus.
Oh my God.
Oh, I love that. Love that place.
But yeah, I need to get the ADHD thing. Like it's not that I want to be medicated for it, but if the doctor genuinely thinks like that, my case myself, assuming I haven't been diagnosed, but even you can look at me and say you probably have ADHD.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
So as long as the doctor genuinely thinks that like a medication will have a positive effect on me, I'm all for it. I don't care.
Go for it. You should.
So
I also
think that they might not give me medication in the beginning and they'll be like, oh, well, here's a couple exercises you could do. And I'm going to be like, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to do them because I can't. I won't think to do them. I'll think about it for 3 minutes and then I'm going to be thinking about something completely different. And then that is shuffle away into the files. And that file cabinet is in the middle of 8 million other file cabinets that are just lost in the mud. That's my brain.
Yep.
My brain just misfires and fucking shoots and pulls random files and then throws them in the very back and goes like, well, forget about those. We got these new ones. So
yeah, do that. I'm excited. See, now you've got me fully invested. I'm going to probably message you at like Thursday night, be like, you get that blood work done? And then when's your appointment? Okay, and then I'm going to check in. So what'd they say? And we got to update. And, eventually you stick with this channel, people, you'll find out.
We'll just make a channel dedicated to my journey and overcoming ADHD. and the effects it has on me of just trying to like push through ADHD tendencies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's funny, like I hate to say it because it does sound ridiculous. It wasn't even the thing that made me think about it is YouTube and TikTok. I've been seeing more and more people popping up with things about autism and with ADHD in particular, neurodivergence. So it's and the problem with it is I feel like a lot of people look at these and go like, well, I'm ADHD then, because it's like they are familiar with certain tendencies.
Yeah.
But a lot of it comes off as like self-diagnosing, like going on WebMD and going like, oh, my left side hurts. Looks like a tumor. I can 100% say like mine isn't, because I don't self-diagnose.
No.
I don't look at things and go like, oh God, I must have this. I don't care. This is the first time that I've actually paid attention to something and been like, I think I've got a problem. I think this has been hindering me more than I'd care to admit.
I you know what? That's going to be the journey of this channel in 2023.
Yeah.
Where take a snapshot in time of where you're at now, and let's see where you're at by the end of the year, assuming you get on some sort of medication, and we'll compare.
We're going to be wearing the same clothes, saying the same shit.
Yeah, probably.
That's how it works with my brain. I
hope I would be in a smaller shirt by the end of the year, but I guess we'll see.
Oh, I'm doing that too. I mean, cut out soda, cut out. We're trying to. After the weight loss that I had, which was I started at 350, got down to 275.
Yeah, I got heavier than you.
Right now, I'm at 290.
That's about what I'm at.
So I need to go back to. I need to at least go back down to where I got to 275. And the problem is, I'm not doing any walking at all. Yeah, and that the walking is the thing that remember what remember what I looked like? Like I had a neck. Yeah, it was my calves.
Well, nowadays we wouldn't know. It's covered by a beard.
I know.
You could have a neck.
No. Okay, he's gone. He's long gone. No, I'm not. I'm not like I'm nowhere near the biggest I've ever been, but it is that I feel that little bit of gain that I got back. It sucks.
Yeah, I was at 300. That was when I was like, oh, this is not good. Now I'm about 290. I don't overeat as much like I used. That was my problem for a long time, was compulsive eating. But
I think one of my biggest problems right now is like when we get high at night or something, we'll smoke.
Yeah,
and the snacking. The snacking is rough, man.
Yeah.
Our pal Wayne texted me the other day, and so I think last year he texted me and he's like 300, and I went, "You did it. Yeah. You hit 300." He messaged me a couple days. Hold on. He simply just said, "Wayne wins 375." And I was just like, dude.
Yeah.
Like at my heaviest, I was 380. That was when I moved to Maine.
Okay.
Yeah, that was when I moved to Maine. I did not move for like 6 months straight. I sat in a house during a winter storm, and I got up to 380. Like, it was just, you couldn't go outside. It's like negative 20 degrees. It's like, I'm not going outside. What am I going to do? Walk? No. I'm sitting here cozy in a blanket watching movies on my projector.
So you were 380. So what you need to respond with is, no, you don't. You don't win.
I did.
Oh, good.
Oh, I told him, I was like, technically. I actually, the next thing I said to him was, I think that exact thing was technically, oh yeah, you got 5 pounds to go to beat my heaviest. And he said, fuck that. He's starting now too. He's losing it. So He hit a point and he just went like, that's enough.
Yeah.
But the point he hit, good God, man.
Well, hopefully by the end of this year, we'll all be in better shape. I got this boxing thing. I tried seeing my old boxing trainer's just a little too far away.
Yeah.
It's in Tom's River. To do it on a regular basis, it would be a bit much. But there's this thing, it's called like Fight Camp or something, where it's kind of like, you know how you got like your Peloton videos, or you have your iFit videos.
Are you talking about the thing that you mount on the wall?
No, this is not good. This is just something that you pull up the videos that they have.
Oh, okay.
And there's trackers that go in the glove, and it tracks so it like counts and it like tells you what to do, and you get points and stuff for.
I've also been seeing more VR exercise programs.
Yeah, VR would be good now that I got
it looks like a combination of like there were a couple Wii and Switch exercise programs mixed with a little bit of Beat Saber, so it's a lot of just motion, and they look legit. The problem is, like, I know at least for me, because I use the Quest and the Quest has the foam padding, I would have to get they make for exercise with VRs.
Yeah, I know which ones
the vented things, because
the
sweat.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
I've come out and been like, oh, it's all red around here because it's just been
I played Job
and
Simulator and come out sweating. Like if I can play that and come out sweating, like one round of Beat Saber, and it's like I'm just like.
I tried playing Beat Saber when I was at my dad's because I had the VR headset with me, and in the middle of me doing it, the dog just started jumping on me, thinking I was like, hey, so we're playing now.
They're gonna say you whacked it in the head.
Yeah, I could have, but thankfully, no. She just jumped up between my arms.
You know what I want to do? I want to do mushrooms and play Beat Saber.
On that note, everybody, you got to get to work soon.
Yeah,
I saw the time. I'm like, I don't want to keep you too long.
I got to get going.
Mushrooms and Beat Saber is what we'll leave it on. It does.
Which, by the way, so I know that they've been talking about like trying to get psilocybin legalized. I think the first state to do it so far has been Colorado. Mm-hmm. More states are starting to do it. They're talking about it because of how they're using it for therapies and stuff. They're looking to legalize it. I found this. There's a mall. I don't know if I told you. There's a mall down by me, and there's a little head shop popped up. Like there's a little new thing, and I've only been in the mall one or two times.
Is it the big mall in that area?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one right across from our house.
Okay.
This little head shop pops up, and they've got like pipes and bongs and stuff, but they also sell like some like cheaper cell phone-y kind of like but it's also, it looks nice. You hear that and you're like, oh, probably like this ratty little place, but it's actually a nicer little storefront.
Okay.
And there was an I'd say older, so like in her 40s maybe.
So
and like
a year older than us.
Yeah. And a girl in her maybe 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
And we were talking about like weed and stuff, and we were about to leave because we popped in just to see what they had. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'll take a look. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that they'd have one of these in a mall. So took a look at it, and it's like, oh, they got some cool stuff. It's really small. As we're leaving, the girl said something to me. I said something to her, and we just got talking real quick about like certain like weeds and stuff. And then like the topic of mushrooms came up, and she's like, well, we do have this. And she reaches under the counter and she pulls out a chocolate bar. And she's like, well, these are shroom bars. And I'm like, well, not real though, right? And she's like, no, it is. I'm like, it's psilocybin? And she's like, well, yeah. I'm like, what? You can't do that though, right? And she's like, well, I think it's like kind of a gray area, because when the weed bill went through in New Jersey, I think they supposedly like backdoored in certain little like guidelines and restrictions, and I was like, no, they talked about it. I don't think they did. And she's like, well, we have them. I'm like, so what do you have?
All right, you gotta tell me about this place. Christine and I are totally gonna head there.
Oh, listen, they had like a 3 gram bar and a 5 gram bar, and 5 gram is what they consider the hero's dose. That's like the trip, the cycle.
So if you ate the entire bar,
that first time I did it, that was where I
would not come close. That would be if you ate the entire chocolate bar. I assume.
On the back of the chocolate bar, so it was white chocolate and it had these like metallic-y blue little streaks in it.
Okay,
and it was it tasted like a little bit of white chocolate and just mushrooms. It's just it doesn't taste great.
Yeah.
on the back of it, they break it down. So it's broken up into 10 or 15 pieces. And they say half to one piece is a microdose. You don't feel it. It's literally
perfect for me.
So it's for people that microdose who literally if I'm not going to go into the explanation of what psilocybin does. If you're interested in it, go and look it up and how the brain responds to it. It's actually being used.
It starts with a P.
Yeah.
If you look it up,
it's being used to treat depression, anxiety, and it's a way of how it helps the brain kind of reconnect certain little synapses that have severed because of anxiety and depression. And it's actually really interesting. And okay. And then they show you like 4 to 6 pieces is like a high, which for mushrooms, if you've ever done mushrooms, at least in my experience, I've done them 3 times. 2 times were like full blown. Mm-hmm. You get a body high that feels like a very, very good, but very heavy weed high. And then you giggle. And then you giggle. Mm-hmm. And then every single thing is hilarious to you. The full bar in the 3 gram ones, like it's normal. That's like body high. The 5 gram one, it just says spiritual.
Oh boy.
So my fiance took half of a piece to microdose, and I was like, I'll do the rest. So I did the rest.
Oh no. Okay.
It is 100% psilocybin chocolate bar.
Oh my God.
First hour and a half, like half hour in, I start feeling like light, and I'm like, okay, I think it's real. I think this is legit. Then it's like, I feel light and heavy at the same time. And I'm like, oh, that's that sweet spot right there. That's just nice. I bust out laughing. I was, some of the shit I was saying was just like, I wish I had recorded it because it was, what I love about it, you're fully aware of everything. It's not like weed, you get kind of like a fog. You get like, can kind of like, you can lose shit in weed. Drinking, depends on where you're at. Yeah. You can lose an entire night. You don't have no recollection. Weed, there. You can remember most things, but like you can lose things in the mix.
Right.
Mushrooms, I am well aware of everything, but still experiencing it, which is what I love about it. Some of the shit I said, I wish I had recorded or written down, was legitimately some of the funniest shit I had ever. Little responses to her saying stuff to me, things I said to her, to where she was dying laughing. She was just like, "What the fuck?" It was genuinely some of the funniest shit I've ever said in my life.
I'll ask her if she remembers anything specific next time we're down.
And then, hour and a half in, we're watching YouTube, and somebody's eye on their face just starts going down. Just one of their eyes goes down to their cheek, and I'm like, oh, here it is.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that I get, so I can imagine that. Okay. I feel like there's got to be one time where you try it once.
We'll see. No, I have to see how I deal with smaller doses first.
No. I think if we did it together, like doing it by yourself is one thing. Like
I know you did before, but I actually,
for me, I really liked it. I actually liked doing it by myself. There's a reason that I really like it, and it might deter you a little bit. No. I mean, so the trip part is just, for me, it's just awesome.
Well, my bad trip stuff when it comes to weed is if I go too hard, time starts to feel like it's freezing. And my breathing becomes, I have to manually breathe because
that's not like, this kind of high.
Okay, good. Hey, so, as long as it doesn't do that to me.
No. If anything, it's the exact opposite.
I can't stop breathing.
No. Time is like it's. You'll watch. You'll be like, all right, well, it's been an hour, and it's like it's been 5-10 minutes, and you're like, oh. So it's almost like you get more of an experience than you actually get because of the way you're kind of perceiving time or feeling time.
As long as, as long that's one thing.
And you don't feel trapped in it.
It just feels, because like for me,
it's stretched.
It would be like, all right, if I turn my head from right to left, my vision will do this thing where like it starts going here, and then it's back here, then it's back here, and it's like that kind of screws me, where I'm like, I'm caught in time.
I personally didn't get that.
I wish I wasn't that susceptible.
It's more about like actual. It almost feels like video filters.
Okay.
When like the stuff that you see, it literally just feels like overlays. Just like, okay, that's what I'm seeing now. Okay, this is now it.
Oh, okay. That sounds fun.
It is. The trip part is hilarious. It's not even hilarious. It's just like, I don't know. It's trippy. It literally is. It's just like, it is that when they talk about like that psychedelic-y kind of thing, it's 100%. It's you're just kind of looking at stuff going like, well, shit.
Well, you know what?
I guess the stars move now. Well, so that's good. Like I literally watched stars realign themselves to become a different picture, and I was just like, "Oh, right." But the thing that I think might deter you, but I kind of love it. At least it happened for me. So if you do like the full trip, 2 or 3 hours in, you're starting to come down a little bit from the visual stuff. You basically, or at least I did, you run through a cycle of essentially every emotion.
Right.
But not just like it's happening. Like I become very introspective. I'll go outside for like 40 minutes by myself. And like when I did it with the chocolate bar, she went to bed. I was like, I'm staying up so I can ride this out. I'm not just going to bed. I want this. I go outside and I basically just start thinking about everything of my life, of where I'm at, of what I do. And it starts off with me just going like, what the fuck what am I doing with my life? And then it's just me like thinking about certain things. And then I become just like, I get sad. And then I get like depression. And then it cycles through to hope. And then it cycles through to happiness. And it almost feels like a fucking cleanse. It almost feels like a detox of emotions. It's like you're processing the emotion to just kind of like to process it, to almost like exercise the muscle and flush it and to get the next one and flush it and to get the next one and flush it to by the time you're kind of done with it, you're just like, wow, I'm good. It's really super interesting.
It sounds interesting. If I can work my way up to something like that, we'll see. But
it's really
in the meantime, I want to find this place at this mall.
Yeah,
and be like, I heard something about
chocolate bars.
She's like, no, word's spreading. We're out. Everybody wants these.
Lying around the car. Cops! Run! Yeah, no. It's honestly, it's only a matter of time before. Like, if Colorado started it and they're talking about it the way that they're talking about it, especially like on a nationwide stance, it eventually will become legalized, like weed will. So, because it's honestly like it really doesn't hurt you. Like right. The actual psilocybin itself, at least in that dosage, up to like the 5 grams, in my experience, the hero's dose. It's a trip, but it's not tearing apart your body. It's actually repairing it. It's fucking repairing your brain.
Yeah.
And the first time I did it, we talked about this at least once. I did it because of the fact that it addresses, or it's supposed to like help the brain kind of repair itself.
Yeah.
It was almost 30 days to the day after I did that first time.
I remember you
that I started getting, I was feeling a little anxious. I was just like, God, I'm just having a bad day. And it wasn't that I was having a bad day. I was having a normal day.
Yeah.
I was feeling the way that I felt before I had taken it. And they talk about like how you do it.
I heard that.
You can get like, it can last, the effects of it can actually like last up to a month, which is why people microdose it.
Yeah.
Because the psilocybin gets in and it kind of slowly does that little repair over time. And they can achieve some kind of normalcy without pharmaceuticals, which is fucking it's crazy. It's nuts. And I felt it in real time. Like I went through a month of going like, I just going about my day normal. 30 days in, something's off. Oh yeah. I feel the way I did 30 days ago. It's crazy.
Yeah.
This time,
at least now you know where you can get it.
Yeah.
Nice. I'd just like to say you have 10 minutes to get to work. So I don't want to keep you, but I will say that while we've been recording this 50 minutes ago, we actually got a comment on the full dagger puzzle from Dust: A Tale of the Wired West. And from Robert Milne, who just says, random clicking would definitely have been faster.
Yeah.
The idea. I'm so glad that people are still clicking on that.
Oh my God.
And that link and watching that. Because the only person I knew
that took us
watched
like, what, 3 episodes to complete that puzzle?
No.
Is that the puzzle at the end?
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was, I can't remember how long it was. It was very long, but I put
For us, it was hours.
I put the full thing up there. Yeah, it was hours.
It was like 3 or 4 hours we sat with that thing.
Yeah, but I put the full puzzle online and linked it in the description of the one where we just cut it down.
Yeah.
But yeah. So glad. Thanks, Robert. Glad somebody's still watching that, guys. We're gonna wrap it up because Chad's got to get to work, and this has been fun. Went a lot longer than expected.
Yeah.
But yeah. So the day after this goes up, because this is going up Friday, Saturday, January, whatever 10th is. It's either the 14th or 15th. That's when the first episode of Shadow of the Colossus goes up. So
it's definitely a 10th.
Yes, and then one episode a day till it ends, and then we'll have some other stuff go up, probably a little more sporadically. But we're back. That's the important part.
Yeah.
Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Tell people we're back. Tell them, even if they've never heard of us before. Be like, they're back.
Yeah. It was, oh God, you wouldn't even believe it, Chad and Russ. They're doing it again. They're doing the thing. Like, oh, that's you. Yeah. All right.
Yep. Do it. Film yourself doing it.
I mean,
be polite about it.
Make TikToks about it.
Yeah, send it to us. We'll react to those.
I'll stitch it.
Yeah,
because I do those things.
Oh God,
no.
All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for
Goodbye.
a video from 2021. Bye.
Bye.